We often think that to be really, truly happier, we need some massive life change. A new job, a new city, a whole new you. But what if the path to more happiness isn't about blowing up your life and starting over? What if it's about rediscovering the one you already have? Okay, let's get into it.
It really all starts with how we think about time. And this quote from happiness professor Cassie Holmes just hits you, right? It reminds us that how we spend the hours of our days, well, that's exactly how we spend the years of our lives. The stakes are pretty high.
So she tells this story that starts on a late-night train. She's a professor, a new mom, and she is just completely wiped out after this crazy day of presentations and meetings, just rushing to get home. And as she's resting her head against the window, watching the city lights whiz by, she has this one overwhelming thought. I don't know if I can keep this up.
And that feeling, it actually has a name. It's called time poverty. It's that sharp, gut punch feeling of having way too much to do and just not enough time to do it. Does that sound familiar at all?
Yeah, well, if it does, you are definitely not alone. A national poll showed that nearly half of all Americans feel this exact same way. It's basically a modern epidemic of feeling constantly behind, totally overwhelmed by life's demands.
So what do you do when you feel that crushed by the clock? I mean, the fantasy's pretty universal, right? Just quit everything, pack a bag, and escape to some sunny island where time doesn't even matter. But here's the real question. Would that actually make you any happier?
And this is where things get really, really interesting. Because Holmes, she's a researcher. So instead of booking a flight, she decided to actually test this idea. She went deep into the data, analyzing the American Time Use Survey to find the real link between our free time and our happiness.
And what she found wasn't a straight line at all. It was this inverted U-curve. Now, on one end, it's what you'd expect. Having too little free time, we're talking less than 2 hours a day, makes us stressed out and unhappy. But the big shocker was on the other end. Having too much free time, like more than 5 hours a day, also led to a drop in happiness, usually because people felt a lack of purpose.
So what this means is that the goal isn't actually unlimited time. It's about hitting this happiness sweet spot. The research points to a magic window, somewhere between 2 and 5 hours of discretionary time per day. That's enough to avoid being stressed, but not so much that you start feeling aimless.
And this all leads to the big idea from her research. The solution isn't to become time-rich by just hoarding more empty hours. No, it's about making the time we already have feel rich and meaningful.
To see how this actually works, Holmes did a little audit of one of her own crazy, hectic days. And what she found really surprised her. Morning snuggles with her baby, a quick call with a friend, dinner with her husband. When she added it all up, she realized she already had 90 minutes of pure, joyful time just hidden in her day that she wasn't even fully appreciating. Because that's where joy usually is. It's not in the giant vacations. It's hiding in plain sight in the mundane, ordinary moments. She tells this great story about her weekly coffee dates with her daughter, Lita. It started out as just a routine, a quick stop on the way to preschool. But over the years, it turned into this treasured ritual, this little pocket of connection that really defines their week.
So this leads to a really important question. If these simple, ordinary moments have so much happiness packed inside them, why are they so darn easy to miss? Why do we just rush through them, our minds already on the next thing on our to-do list?
Well, the answer is a powerful psychological thing called hedonic adaptation. It's basically our brain's tendency to just get used to stuff. Good things, bad things, the emotional kick they give us fades as they become familiar. It's what makes us resilient for sure, but it's also the thing that can steal the magic from our greatest joys.
Here's a perfect example. Think about the very first time someone you really cared about said, "I love you." It was fireworks, right? This huge, heart-stopping moment. But fast forward a few years, and how often does that get boiled down to a quick, "love you," as you're hanging up the phone? That is hedonic adaptation right there in action. So how do we fight back against this? How do we stop taking these amazing moments for granted? The tool Holmes came up with is both incredibly simple and really profound. You count your times left. Okay, so here's how it works. First, you figure out about how many times you've already done some recurring activity in the past. Second, you estimate how many more times you'll realistically do it in the future, accounting for life changes. And then third, you calculate the percentage of those moments that you still have left. So when she did this for her coffee date ritual, Holmes calculated that she and Lita had already had about 400 of them. Then, looking ahead, with school and her teenage years and then college, she figured they had about 230 left in the tank.
And the final number was just startling.
Of all the coffee dates they will likely ever have together, only 36% of them are still in the future. And her daughter is only 8 years old. It's a stunning way to see just how finite even our most treasured routines really are.
Now, this isn't supposed to be depressing. In fact, it's the opposite. It's motivating. When you realize how precious these times are, it makes you protect them fiercely. It makes you put your phone away, quiet that mental to-do list, and just be present. It literally transforms an ordinary half hour into an extraordinary experience.
As she puts it, these minutes color how I feel the rest of the week and really how I feel about my life overall. That's the power of this. Investing in these small, high-quality moments creates this huge ripple effect on your entire sense of well-being.
So what this all comes down to is a simple but really powerful shift in thinking. Greater happiness doesn't require a bigger life. It just requires a deeper engagement with the one you already have. The key isn't more time. It's more intention and more attention in the time you've got.
And that leaves us with one final thought to take with you. When you look at your own life, your own routines, your own relationships, what ordinary moment are you going to choose to make extraordinary this week?